Welcome to Obi-Wan Studios. For today's LEGO Star Wars set review, I have the 75430 Wicket The Ewok, which released on August 1st, 2025 for $130 as part of the buildable character line in LEGO Star Wars. The set comes with 1,010 pieces and one minifig being Wicket, as you would expect out of a set like this. As for the box art for the set, we have Wicket on the front with the Forest of Endor behind him, and the scenery does look really good, but Wicket to me just looks a bit awkward the way he's exactly showcased on the front, and I just think awkward is the best word to describe it. On the back of the box, turning it around, we see a different angle of the build, the display plaque, and the set's dimensions. But this set to me is one that I personally could have kind of taken or left. I just don't really care that much to get a buildable Ewok, although I have to admit it does look kind of cute, the face mainly. But it's an interesting set for LEGO to charge $130 for, because to me it feels kiddie in the sense of it would make sense to be more right in line with R2-D2, Chopper, and Grogu with the hover prem that are all currently on shelves right now for $100. $130 to me seems right away we're not starting off very good for just what you can see out of this set, so it's going to be interesting to actually build it and see where LEGO thinks that extra $30 of value from those sets at least is coming from. But let's get the set all unsealed and then continue on the review. Unsealing these sets, here is the instructions manual, which at the very front of it has a nice side-by-side of our build and Wicket from Return of the Jedi. And then there are 12 numbered bags in total. Time to go build Wicket, and I'll check back in with you guys once it's all done. Alright, with Wicket all built, let's take a quick look at our display plaque and the minifig first. Now the display plaque looks great, the print quality is as you would expect, just nice and sharp looking, and everything you'd want and expect for a buildable Wicket is on that display plaque. Nothing too crazy going on, and the same thing can kind of be said for the Wicket minifig as well, that can be placed beside the plaque there, and it's just a fine looking minifig. We have a little bit of printed detail on the kind of headpiece that he wears, and then for Wicket's face as well, and it looks totally fine. There's nothing really new or exciting with this Wicket minifig that would be kind of special for this buildable character that we get. It's just kind of the standard Wicket minifig that you would just think that LEGO would make. Now he comes with his spear, which is nice, but he is missing a little stud or something for the cookie that he has for the buildable character, so he can't totally mirror the buildable character, which I just think is something that was really just left out for no real reason. I feel like it's kind of odd that LEGO just didn't add this in for the minifigs, that he could perfectly reflect the buildable character, so just one really odd choice by the design team, but otherwise just a fine minifig. I don't know, it's not that exciting to me. And speaking of things that I don't find that exciting, here is the Wicket the Ewok build, and I have to admit, in person, once it is all complete, it does actually look pretty cute. Sometimes these buildable characters, like the Chewbacca one for example, they just don't look that great. It just doesn't always translate into brick built form, but the Ewok, I gotta admit, seeing him all built in front of me, he is pretty cute. Like, I think the overall design of him was done pretty well to actually make a good representation of what an Ewok looks like in this buildable character form. But it's definitely not a set that I think is just for everyone, because, well, it's a buildable Ewok. Like, for me personally, it's not a set that I'm very excited about. Having built it, purchasing it, it's just not something that I really care that much to actually display. It's more because of it being from Return of the Jedi, and you know, the Ewoks obviously play a very big part in the movie, but it's just something to me that, like, yeah, it's cool for other people to see, but for me personally, it's just not something that I was really that excited to actually get in buildable character form. So I'm kind of at the place where I'm like, okay, it's cool for those who want a buildable Ewok. You now have the opportunity to go and buy one that does look pretty cute, but otherwise, I'm looking forward to other buildable characters that we're going to get in future instead of this one. Now, really with this build, where it was all going to be kind of won or lost in terms of the reception of its design, is with the face. And I think the designers did a really good job in actually making it, number one, look like an Ewok, but also have kind of the cuteness factor and less of the creepiness factor like the Chewbacca buildable character has. The eyes look really cute, a little bit of the hair coming down underneath the hood, the tiny mouth, the small nose, the chin as well, with a little bit almost of like a beard kind of thing going there. You see just more of these pieces representing some extra hair coming down, and then all covered by this hood. It's all very tightly packed in there. It looks like he's got just a bunch of hair kind of poking out. The ears as well look so cute, and you can move them just a tiny bit. Really no poseability there though. Like, that really doesn't count at all in my mind for poseability. It's just a little bit of wiggle room you have there to adjust them slightly. But the fact that the face looks as good as it does, I think is really where this build was either going to go down as something that people thought was really cute and looked cool, or just was kind of a freaky looking kind of Ewok sort of thing. But the designers, I gotta say, I think they did a really good job in making Wicket look as cute as he does. Taking a closer look at the ears design, because I just think they look so great. They're jagged looking, they're not perfect. They just look like a fluffy Ewok ear. And even the difference in tone in terms of the colors here from the center to the outside with all of the fur just makes them look really good. I don't know, I feel like these are a bit of an underappreciated part of Wicket's design, just how great these ears look. We have both of them on either side. They just, to me, look super good. The designers really did nail Wicket's ears, I have to say. I think even on the backside there, like, I don't know, I just think they honestly look really great, especially just the way they stick out of his outfit. They are really dang cute. One other area that I love when it comes to Wicket's design is the bottom of his belly here. The way it just looks like a bunch of fur hanging down with all of these kind of jagged pieces. I don't know, I just really do love how that works. I think it looks so great and adds so much furry texture to Wicket. These pieces are really fantastic in my opinion. The backside of Wicket, as you guys can see, is really void of a ton of detail. You have some pieces here, some different colors as well, just for a little bit of breakup in the mainly brown back, a little bit of additional texture. Nothing too crazy, even with the hood kind of at the back here. It's all more or less just there to complete the shaping. You're not really meant to see the back of Wicket, and it looks fine. There's no need for any extra detail or anything, but just worth noting that the backside of Wicket is definitely on the plainer side. Now, the one spot where you can do some posing with Wicket is the right arm. And when I say some posing, I really mean some. Like, that little bit of movement. That is really all you get for the most amount of posability that you have. Sure, the fingers can kind of open and close a bit, but really they're just meant to be functional. Now, with the right hand, we have the small little plate piece, which is meant to be the cookie that you see him have, that Princess Leia gives him. And there are no actual studs in his hand at all, so there's no real way for this piece to attach on. You have to kind of just really clasp it in there. And I mean, sure, it works. It's not that difficult to get it to attach. And even when I kind of move the build around, like, it is staying decently in place. So would it be better if it could be attached somehow? Sure, it probably would be a little bit better, but the fact that it's a non kind of issue, I can at least appreciate that when you actually just maneuver it and get it to be placed in there and actually have his hands kind of grasp on it like that, it does work. So you know what? It's not that bad at all. Maybe it's a little bit more almost realistic looking. The fact that his fingers actually hold on to it. There's no studs that it's just attached to in his palm or something, and then it leads to a little bit of a weird position perhaps. So you know what? This actually is probably a better thing just putting it on a shelf like that, him holding it, not really going to bump into it or anything like that. Like it's held in place decently. So you know what? Actually, even as I'm talking here during the review, it's actually a feature that, you know what, I think is better that it doesn't actually attach. But it's just something to be aware of if you're carrying it around or something. There is potential that it'll fall out on you and could possibly get lost. And when it comes to Wicket's left arm, we have zero movement in it at all. It is totally locked in place, and the arm comes out more from his body at an angle. It's not just tucked to his side like the right arm is, and that makes it for holding the spear to be and just a better pose than just having his arm kind of just straight up against him or something like that. Having it out just a little bit allows you to prop the spear in, and there's a Technic pin in the middle of his palm here. You just simply take the spear and attach it in there, and then his fingers can close nice and around it, kind of covering up the Technic pin there. That's the one blemish on the spear build, but then he just holds it like that. When it comes to the spear's actual design, I think it looks great. These Technic pieces represent wood or like shaven down bark for him to hold, and then you have the tip of it as well done in this kind of stone looking piece that looks sharp. It does look really great, I have to say. And one thing that I'm a fan of is actually how the spear is angled a little bit in front of Wicket, the way he's posed with his entire hand, forearm, the way everything's angled. It just goes at this bit of an angle in front of him, and instead of him holding it up high in the air or something like that where it'd be way up here, for example, it just kind of allows for him to be a little bit shorter. Like the build itself isn't as tall as it could potentially be if they chose a different pose where he was holding it up in the air, for example, like that. And for someone like me who displays my sets in these IKEA Billy bookshelves, having the ability of the set to not be quite as tall, I do just appreciate. If LEGO was going to choose one way it had to be displayed like this, I do appreciate that at least the spear definitely doesn't make the build any taller, but having some different options to maybe move his arm around or something to pose it differently would definitely be cool. But the point I'm trying to make is that if they had to have one way for him to hold it, I do just really appreciate the fact that the build doesn't become really much taller because of the spear. And really, like the rest of the build, the legs have zero movement in them at all. This is the one way that you have to kind of pose Wicket, and it does keep him nice and sturdy the way his legs are positioned with his feet. I mean, you could kind of move his toes a little bit just because they're on these little hinges. They can rotate, but I mean, there's no real function there. There's like, that's not a play feature, really anything you would move around to pose. Like lifting them up a little bit doesn't really look that great. It kind of just looks the best if you have them all down, and then those are his toes. So with the legs, no real way to pose them or anything. They're kind of functional there just to keep the entire build nice and stable, but you know, would have been kind of cool maybe to adjust it slightly, but I can totally understand why the designers didn't allow for any movement in the legs. They just wanted the build to be nice and sturdy, so you can't really blame them for that. Now, I definitely have to admit that when I heard we were getting a buildable Wicket the Ewok, I wasn't excited at all, and I thought it was kind of a waste of that spot. But having it built now in front of me, it's a pretty cute build. I do think the designers did a really great job in making Wicket look as good as he does. But this set does have one massive drawback, and it's that price point. $130. I'm telling you guys, I'm just not seeing it at all, especially when you consider that there is Grogu with the hover pram for $30 less, the buildable chopper for $30 less, the buildable R2-D2, the best R2-D2 buildable version that we've ever gotten from LEGO, a truly phenomenal set for $30 less. I just don't see where there is that increase in value with Wicket the Ewok. I don't get it at all. And next to R2-D2, I honestly wouldn't even feel great spending the same amount of money on this set versus R2-D2, which I think is such a cooler set, has way better features, things you can do with the build. I would feel like $90 at that point would maybe be fair for Wicket, because although it's kind of like the same size and everything, it's got way less features to it. So that's kind of where I land with this price point. If you can get it on a sale at $100 or less, I think then if you really want a little buildable displayed Ewok, then I think it's a great buy. But otherwise, I definitely would not recommend buying the set for anything more than $100. To me, that's kind of crazy. I really do not understand it personally, where LEGO thinks that they are giving us a set that is just worth $130. So with all of that said, for the Obi-Wan Studios set rating, Wicket the Ewok is getting a 7.8 out of 10, that price point being the single biggest factor in bringing that score down. The only other thing that would have made the build a bit better in my mind is just more poseability to it, the ability to move the arms a little bit, even the head, side to side or something, to give it more character, make it feel more alive and animated, instead of just having the one pose. I can understand why it's like that, but I think just having more features like that, more ways to display it, would have made the build a lot better. So thank you guys so much for watching my review on the 75430 Wicket the Ewok. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments down below. If you agree with my points, if you really like it, just let me know what you think about it. I always appreciate seeing what you guys think down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video and the review, please leave a like. And if you want to support the LEGO Star Wars videos that I make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed already. It helps my channel grow a lot more than you might think. As always, my name is Justin, and I'll see you guys on the next LEGO Star Wars video on Obi-Wan Studios.